Hey guys, how's it going? It's another Skycurser Daily. Today we are going to be covering working on the Griffin special. If you joined us yesterday, you saw that we started to build a special into the game. We're going to do some cleanup on the special in terms of just kind of how it feels as the user is playing. It's a little bit hard to activate right now because what is trying to happen right now is the commands are looking for to see if a specific button has been pressed. So the way that the Griffin special is activated is by pressing all three attack buttons at once. And if you've seen the game, you know we have three attack buttons. We basically have the shotgun, the katana, and the Vulcan cannon. And when you push all three of those at once, we basically the controls fight for positioning. And it's a little bit hard to activate the Griffin special, I noticed yesterday. So I'm going to clean this up a little bit and ensure that if somebody's pushing one of the attack buttons, that they're not also pushing all three of the attack buttons. If they are pushing all three of the attack buttons, we're just going to go straight to the special. And that is if they have, basically if they have any specials left. And yeah, so we should... so that's basically what we're going to focus on in the process. We'll also do a little bit of tech debt paydown or some code cleanup. Today is a no-cam stream. I'm just going to talk as necessary, so if you have questions, feel free to ask questions. I'll just try to answer them here, or I'll type the answers to them in the stream. And I think that's about the majority of what we're going to focus on today. So I'll say this at the end of the stream, and I'll say it right now. If you like what you see, follow us on Twitch, and very specifically, if you follow us on Twitter, you'll see exactly when we're going live. Additionally, if you take a look at our Tumblr page, all these links are down below the stream. But if you take a look at our Tumblr page, you can see basically the arcade cabinet that we're building. We basically already have a prototype. We're taking our prototype to MGC. And you can also see additional artwork as we're working on it before it even makes it to me and into the game on our Tumblr page. And additionally, we export all of these videos to YouTube, so you can find our library of videos on YouTube. Twitch basically has an expiration period for videos that they store, but they do allow export to YouTube, which is awesome. So our YouTube channel has all the videos in case you ever want to go back and see what we've covered in the past. So that being said, let's go ahead and get started. So just to make sure everybody kind of knows where we're at, I think what I'll do is go ahead and hop in the game and do a quick demo. I'll demonstrate the Griffin special a few times, and right now there's no limitations on when the Griffin special is activated. So I'll be able to activate it as many times as necessary, or as many times as I push the buttons to, and just to give you an idea of what we'll be working on. So right now we're going to, it's compiling. And I'm trying to attach that to the window so you can see it compiling. Yeah, thanks to Beastly Bro. It's I'm working on keeping our library looking clean and up to date. We basically have a playlist. All these videos go right into the playlist. So you'll be able to see them all at once if you want to, or just kind of work your way through them.
Skycurser.
Game Maker wanted to stop working on me right away, so give me a second. Let's try this again. Okay, recompiling.
Mission 1.
Here we go.
Death at the docks. Go!
So the Griffin special, of course, is the blue and purple object that goes across the screen. It's basically going to attack and kill anything in its path. And right now, you can see as I'm firing the Griffin special, the shotgun is fighting for position with the Vulcan cannon, and it's switching back and forth between the two. And also the katana blade fires as well, so it's a little bit difficult to actually activate, so we're going to fix it right now. Thanks a lot, man. Yeah, it's coming along. It's feeling really good right now. So I think what I'm going to do before I actually start working on before I actually start working on what the Griffin special does when it collides with other objects on screen, I think what I'll do first is go ahead and fix the controls so that it's not switching back and forth between weapons when trying to activate it. It could look and feel a little bit confusing as it stands right now. So I know I've got the controls for this in Object Skycurser, and I don't really want to take them out of here yet. There's so much going on in this file at the moment. I'm also trying to make this full screen. It feels like Game Maker's not going to let me make it as big of, take up as much of the screen as possible. Okay. So right here we have the Vulcan cannon firing, we have the katana firing, and we have the shotgun firing. And I'm doing a check right here to determine if the katana should fire. If the Vulcan cannon should fire, here's the check, and same with the shotgun. There's a check to see if the shotgun key is being pressed. So I think what I'm going to do here is add a little something to this check right here, the keyboard check. I'll say keyboard check. I may do one other thing really quick as well, because the katana is doing keyboard check pressed, the shotgun is doing keyboard check pressed, however the Vulcan cannon is doing keyboard check. We're just going to verify what these do real quick. Pull this over to the main screen so you can see it, and make sure to share my monitor. So the keyboard check returns whether the given key on the keyboard is currently held down, and the keyboard check pressed returns whether the given key on the keyboard has just been pressed. The key should check the pressed state of. You can check to see if a key has been pressed or not. Unlike the keyboard check function, this function will only run once for every time the key is pressed down. So for it to trigger again, the key must be first released and then pressed again. So the reason why that's important is because I'm trying to make sure I'm understanding exactly how this is going to occur when we run this code right here, which is what runs the special. And I think our code may be a little bit difficult. Let me think. The way it stands right now, it may be a little bit difficult to activate just because we're using keyboard check pressed instead of keyboard check on all of the keys. And so basically that means that all three of them have to be pushed at the exact same time. So I'm gonna basically take this and let me see real quick. I'm gonna basically take this and take this down to keyboard check pressed. I'm sorry, keyboard check. And let me think through the repercussions of that. Because if I do this, you could basically fire as many of these as you wanted as long as you're holding down the buttons. I think I may back this out. Leave it back where it was. And go and just make these controls a lot stronger here on each of the weapons. So let's do that first before we go changing any of that other stuff. And keyboard check pressed global dot key shotgun, and keyboard check pressed global dot key katana. And we're actually going to say not pressed. The shotgun is not pressed. The katana is not pressed. And we're going to close the parentheses there. Basically going to just steal this and change the check. Make sure I add my opening parentheses. So we are already checking for the katana, so we don't need to check again, but we do need to check for key fire. So shotgun and fire, make sure, but in this case, key fire is not held down. Let me think about that as well. I think we'll just have to feel it out and see how it feels when you're actually playing it. The main reason I'm trying to be real careful with this is because as I'm going through here and making updates, we could run into some trouble where if you're tapping multiple buttons at the same time, you may block another weapon from firing, and that's not necessarily what our goal is. So I just want to see how that actually plays out when we actually hit play on that. Going to do the same thing with shotgun. Close it there, open it here. Shotgun, but in this case it's key katana and key fire. So let's play that, see how that feels. Should still play correctly. Yeah, so let's just see how that feels first.
Skycurser. Mission 1. Death at dusk. Go!
Still feels really good when I'm playing. Doesn't feel like I'm taking a lot of rate. So my next question is, how does it feel when I push all three at once? Next thing that I need to do, I like the way that it's automatically back to fire. All right. So let me just look at this here. I know I'm also doing a weapon transition up here. Let's just take a look at that first. Here we go. Determine if transition weapon is occurring and respond appropriately. If the weapon transition equals true. Global dot main weapon is equal to Vulcan. Keyboard key shotgun and global keys disabled equals false. Or global main weapon is equal to shotgun and global key fire. I think I need to modify this to keep the weapon transitioning from occurring every single time we're pushing all three buttons. So let's say this. Keyboard check pressed. Shotgun, yeah, we want to know that, but we also want to make sure. Let's see. Keyboard check global dot key fire, and we'll say not. And we'll also go ahead and add our third one in here. Keyboard check pressed. Global dot key katana. No reason to change if we're pushing all three. Gonna change that to pressed to keep it consistent. And this would probably be better served to be keyboard check. And let's go closing that there. This is closed there. Where is this one closed? At the very beginning? Yeah, so I've got a duplicate global dot keys disabled. I don't need it here, I believe. So let me see my my parentheses now. Can you beat that large ship? Yeah, it's not that difficult. It's basically you can defeat the large ship either in multiple different ways. So you can either shoot all 3 eyeballs on top of the tank. We call it a tank, just to keep it in traditional shmup terminology. Tank is generally just an enemy that is really difficult to kill. It takes a lot to kill. You got to focus a lot of your time and energy on it. So it is called an object. It's basically a carrier, but we call it like basically tank number 1 because I'm sure we'll have multiple tanks throughout the game. The 3 ways you can kill it are to shoot the eyeballs on top of the plane. If you shoot all 3 of them, you basically destroy the plane. If you shoot the plane directly until it runs out of hit points, then you kill it that way. Or you can do a combination of shooting the eyeballs and the and the carrier, and each, basically each hit with the eyeball or the carrier takes down hit points. So there is a situation or 2 where you could basically destroy 1 or 2 eyeballs and still destroy the ship, because the eyeballs also make the ship take damage. And you can kill for extra kills, you can basically kill the bubble eyeballs that come out beneath the ship. And if you shoot them with the shotgun or the Vulcan cannon, then those little, we call them, what are they? Man, I'm drawing a blank here. Our enemies are called Enemy 3, we basically call this floating eyeball plane. I'll have to think about it. I need to just kind of rename our enemies because right now they're just named Enemy 1, Enemy 2, Enemy 3. But yeah, hopefully that answers that question. So keyboard check pressed. Key shotgun and keyboard check key fire is not happening. Keyboard check pressed. Key katana is not happening. Let's see where this closes. Closes at the end. Let me take. Where's that guy close? Closes right there. Perfect. That guy closes right there. Perfect. This guy closes right there, and we want to add our additional code right here. Okay, so we got 2 of those, and now we just start adding keyboard check pressed global shotgun and keyboard check pressed global.key katana. Now I'm expecting, if this works as planned, that the animation will not continue flipping back and forth. And if that is correct, we'll be in a really good place. Okay, if not, we'll just keep working on it until we get it right. Save. Play. To answer your question, to Beastly Bro, yeah, I usually try to follow the stream schedule. If I, for some reason, can't make it on that night, I'll usually post right below the stream schedule that I either won't make it that night or that I have a different time that I'm going to be streaming that day. Good question.
Mission 1. Death at dusk.
Oh yeah. Much better. I think I still have some work to do. It fires a little bit easier. Okay. So it fires a little bit easier. But I think what I'll do is just do a keyboard check on all these instead of keyboard check pressed. I think that will make it more difficult actually to switch back and forth between weapons, and I'm not sure the consequences of that yet, so I'm going to go ahead and try this first. Okay, keyboard check on everything. Play. Going back in, compiling.
Mission 1. Death at dusk. Go!
Oh yeah, that's way better. That feels way better. Alright, weapon. But the fire occurs way quicker. Yeah, that's really good. I may leave that where it is right now because I really like that. What else definitely needs to happen in order to make that feel correct? I don't know that a lot more needs to happen for it to feel correct. Now what we're going to do is limit how many of those the player gets. But before we do that, let's go ahead and activate the collision of the special with the enemies. Oh, so these guys, I'm just now remembering their names. For short, we call them PEBs, or popcorn eyeballs, since they're basically like popcorn. When you shoot the eyeball, the bubble eyeball, they pop out of the bubble eyeball. So popcorn eyeballs. FEBs, PEBs, and EBPs. Okay. So we are going to work on the collision. Let's check where we're doing that at. It's basically going to turn into a weapon. EBPM impact. I think I'll do another script here, and I'll call this one script Griffin impact. Okay. I want to see where I'm calling EBPM impact from. Okay, so we're calling it from weapon attack in multiple locations. I'm calling it in tank 1, object tank 1 eyeball. Let me go look at that real quick. I need that search back. Step, line 26, And I wish I could make this a little bit bigger. Position, there it is. If death by ghost missile and impact with the EBPM Hey, Insanity Wolfman. Thanks for coming in here, man. We're making Game Maker. I'll show it to you here. Sorry, we're making Skycurser. I'll show it to you here in just a second. To Beastly Bro, to answer your question, I've been coding for a while in terms of online software. I've been, I am a professional software engineer, and yeah, so but that is web software, and I've been game programming for a little over a year, and that's only like literally this is my first venture into game programming. But it requires a lot of reading documentation and trying to make sure you understand how everything works together nicely. But a lot of that is up front. I mean, there's basically a learning curve. Once you get over the learning curve, you're a lot more efficient, and you're required a lot less to go look at the documentation each time you have a question. All right, so increment score false. Okay, so all this was doing was checking to see if the impact actually occurred, and we're returning a score here. So, well, specifically returning a Boolean, true or false. And so that's why I can do something like this to see if what actually impacted was the ghost missile or not. I don't think I want to call this impact based on that. I think I want to kind of keep the convention the same with some of my other scripts here. And I'm going to try to send as much as I can through the script weapon attack. Let me just look at this for a second. So in this script, I want to change katana impact in multiple places to weapon impact, because it doesn't make sense for it to remain katana impact. Weapon impact. Going to leave it here because I do want to make sure that I'm, working off of this katana impact, which is connected to Skycurser. But I want to change these other locations here, and that may mean that I need to go change the name of it in one of these other locations. No, actually I don't, because I'm naming the level of impact right there. So weapon impact, weapon impact, weapon impact, weapon impact. So I'm doing a little bit of code cleanup, tech debt pay down here. Insanity, you're asking if I have any spare time, could I help start coding? What exactly are you working on? Or thinking about working on? Okay, I'm in a good spot with that, so now I should be able to pass in one more object to this. Else if script object type argument 0.id is object. What's the name of that weapon? Specials, object Griffin special. Let's try that. Griffin special. Weapon impact. equals argument 0 dot Griffin impact. And we're going to go set that in the Griffin init script. So, but first we want to make sure it hits this script from the step event. So I'm going to come back to this in a second. So I'm going to leave it open. So from here, the special, we want to make sure this is constantly running every step of the way. Script weapon attacked, pass this off to pass the self.id off to this script, which is what we're checking for when it hits the script, is the object that's calling it object Griffin special. So from there, we're going to hit OK, but we also want to go to look at the create event so we can make sure we set up the Griffin impact property on this particular object. Property is a fancy name for variable. Insanity Wolfman, you're just wanting to start learning to make games for Android. Awesome, man. Yeah, so I can talk you through some of the beginning things. I think the key is when you're starting out is to make sure that you get your hands on the software as cheaply as possible, and I think GameMaker does a good job with that in terms of, and I think from what I understand, Unity does the same thing. They make the game platforms free initially, so you can just kind of learn how they all work together. And with a piece of middleware like GameMaker or Unity, the good thing is you can export to a platform like Android. But yeah, there might be some better places than hopping straight into GameMaker or Unity to start learning how to program. I can post some of those. What I'll do is after the stream today, either come back a little bit later after the stream or come back tomorrow, and I always make sure the section below the stream inside of our channel, when you get to our channel, if you scroll down and you kind of look at the information down there, I'll try to make sure to post some resources for you so you can go to some places that help you learn quickly on how to code. And I would actually liken GameMaker or GML language, GameMaker language, to JavaScript quite a bit. It feels a lot like JavaScript. I see that you're saying you have GM4. Is that GameMaker 4, I think? I'm reading to Beastly Bro. GML is all I know. I remember using it like 3 years ago, then quit to become more of a person to play games. Yeah, like the rest of us, we all like to play games. Okay, so let me go real quick. But yeah, Insanity Wolfman, there are some places that I can send you to go learn some general principles of coding that will definitely bleed over into how GameMaker works. Okay. So I'm going to go make sure I update that Griffin impact inside of the init function. Sorry, the init method or script. Argument 0 dot Griffin impact equals Griffin impact equals this is going to be a really high number. I think I'm going to say most things will be killed very easily. Let's say 300. I'm trying to think of the amount of health that the tank has, and so let's go look at that real quick. 450 starts out with 450, so you won't kill it immediately, but it'll be a really quick kill after that. I'll talk to Chris, our art guy, and he wears a lot of different hats. I would call him a product manager. I would call him an art director. I would call him a musician who does our custom music for the game. But he's the one a lot with the vision for how all this should work together. And I'll talk to him and see exactly how powerful he wants this to be. I'm not sure that he wants it to be 450 hit points powerful. So I'm going to leave it at 300 hit points for now. It'll do a damage of 300. Pretty much only made game with if statements and variables. Yeah. I mean, that's a way to do it. I mean, it makes sense. That's I would call that procedural programming. It once you start kind of learning the general principles of object-oriented programming, it you'll have some procedural statements inside of your objects and scripts and methods, but the interaction becomes a lot cleaner, and it makes a lot more sense in your head when you're trying to think through how something should work. Okay, so I think I got what I need from the tank. Got what we need from here. The special, we need to make sure it's occurring, and it is. Weapon attack. And I already did a check to make sure that we are seeing we can control a weapon impact right through this script right here. So I think we're in a good spot. Object Griffin special is what will be hitting the player, and then Insanity Wolfman, thanks for the follow. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for your support. Awesome. So Insanity Wolfman, the way we're doing this, and you'll see more about this, and it'll make a lot more sense as we move forward. But for now, we're basically this is going to be an exclusive arcade release, so it's going straight to the arcade, and I'll leave it mostly at that. I will say that we will be eventually porting over to other platforms, but we want to make sure that our goal is to really, where possible, inject some life into the arcade, and it doesn't feel like a lot of people are developing for the arcade anymore these days. So we're actually creating a personal circuit board, a PCB, that we're going to put the game on, and it'll go straight inside of an arcade cabinet. You can see the arcade cabinet if you want. Right here. And that's where we have a lot of our artwork, but we also have the arcade cabinet on that page. And eventually, yes, I personally want to definitely get it over to some other platforms, but it's not going to be the exact same experience between platforms. So hopefully that answers your question. Okay, here we go. I think we're in a good spot here. I think we might even be done with this. I did want to see one more thing, which is how these instances are connecting with everything else. So a hit occurs if X and Y intersect with enemy 1. Specifically the X and Y of the Griffin special. I don't want exactly that to happen. Thanks, Insanity. We'll see in just a little bit. I don't want exactly this to happen. I don't want it to be a very precise collision. Actually, I know exactly what to do to fix this. So we're going to basically just update the hitbox of the sprite. So let's go to the sprite itself. Skycurser, weapons, specials, and this will be the Griffin projectile. Right now the height is 74. We're going to modify the mask. The mask right now, you can do things with a game maker. You can make it precise, and precise will make sure that a collision only occurs if something directly contacts the sprite itself. You can make it a rectangle, you can make it an ellipses or a diamond. You can do several different things here, but I'm going to change this up a little bit. Manual, going to say the top. I'm wondering if I can make this 50 more on each side. Let me think through that, how big that's going to be. If I add 50, it's going to be 125. I add 50 to that, it'll be 175. Out of 240, that would be huge. So maybe not that much, maybe 25 on each side. So the bottom is at 73. I don't think that is correct. See, the height right here is at 74. I think you can see my mouse movement. Let me make sure I see it. I don't think I'm seeing my mouse movement. Let me make sure I can. No. Okay, so the height is 74, and my point of origin on the y-axis is 37. That means it's basically right in the middle of the 74 height. So when you're checking for x and y, it's basically going to start from there, and it's going to look at the mask that's on top of the griffin itself. So basically what we're going to do at this point is going to see if I can make the mask larger than the image. I'm not sure that I can. Let's see. Bottom's at 73. We want to make the bottom at 98. Are you going to let me do that? And make the top at... No, it's not going to let me do that. Don't save the mask. But I'm going to edit the sprite, and I'm going to add a height to this that is not currently here. Edit. I don't normally work with the sprite editor here. I may just go do this in GIMP real quick, and I'll let you see me do it. I'll let you see me work through it. If I do, let me see if I can do this real quick though. Don't need to add an empty resize canvas. This will work perfectly. I'm glad I don't have to go over to GIMP and use it. It'd be a headache to port this out, go open GIMP, wait for it to load, add the size dimensions that I need, bring it back over here, import it. If I could do that all here, that's more than preferred. Okay, so we're going to add 25 on each, so basically adding 50 to this, so that would be 124. I don't want to change the width at all. Do not keep the aspect ratio. Cancel. Let's try this one more time. Resize canvas. Do not keep the ratio. Make this, yes, maintain the origin. The origin right now is in the center. We want to make this 124, which is 168% of original. Perfect. And the other one did that as well. It looked like it did it automatically, so we're good there. Perfect. Okay, so now all I have to do is make sure the mask is basically the full image, because I want it to hit whatever it touches on its way out. And it goes across the screen so fast, I'm not worried about the X and Y. Let me think about this for a second. I think I will move the X forward to 240. Yeah, that's perfect. So basically I want the leading edge to be the contact first. Modify mask. And actually it's going to just try to, it's not going to work off of that. It's going to work off of the very front edge, because the mask is the entire image, and the image goes all the way to the edge here. So it's not even going to really matter where this is coming from. I had it at 215. I'm going to leave it where it was, because the mask is still going to cover our bases. And now this will occur exactly the way I want it to. It'll connect with every enemy as I want it to. So the reason, if you're looking at this code, let me see if anybody else is saying anything. No donation system up yet? No, not yet, man. Very soon. Very soon. Me and the other two guys are working on it, and Yeah, it won't be long, I promise. If you're interested, that's very helpful. I'm very grateful for that. Also, um, we just right now more than appreciate the support that anybody can give through follows and even through talking about our game. So, but hang tight. It might even be up within the week, and if not by the end of this week, early next week. So if you're looking at this file right here and you're looking at how I'm doing these collisions, I'll talk through the collisions really quickly. Let me see what time it is. I'm trying to keep it short today. I'm probably going to go straight up to about 10 o'clock. Right now it's 9:19 Eastern Standard Time, and so I'll go right up to 10 o'clock. So I got about 40 minutes left, and so because I want to keep making progress on this, I'll talk through this fairly quickly. This one file right here controls how everything connects with everything in terms of collisions that occur in game. I could pull these out into multiple like subscripts basically, but it's kind of nice to see everything here in one place and be able to control everything right here as we're moving forward. 10 again, yeah, I know, man. 2:20 a.m. Wow, man. Don't worry, DeBeastly Bro, man. We'll get our good streaming in here, man. I promise. We'll get some time here. I stream on the weekends too. Generally, if my son is asleep on the weekends and my wife is resting as well, I'll stream from 2 to 4 on the weekends. But yeah, I'll be on a lot, so no worries there. Insanity Wolf, man, 2:20 a.m. That's crazy, man. So this file right here, I've got basically each one of these labeled. Enemy 1, EBP, enemy 1 Ghost Missile, enemy 2 FEB, enemy 3 PEB, enemy 4 Fly, enemy 5 BEB, the enemy 4 Attack, the Object Tank 1 Carrier, also known as the Carrier. I was telling you we call it the tank, but it's also a carrier. We have carrier eyeballs. So basically you have to control it's most ideal to control what happens when a specific object that you want to collide with another object occurs and keep it kind of close to the same place so you can make modifications quickly. I've got most of my weapons running through here. I've got a couple of weapons that I would like to put through here so that they're all in one place. I just haven't gotten to do the tech debt paydown yet. But GameMaker has a method called instance place, and that is basically the thing that controls whether or not a collision is actually occurring between two objects. So whatever object I'm passing in, that's what my argument 0 is. You saw previously when I was calling the script, I passed in self.id to call script weapon attack, and then right next to it I passed in self.id. Argument 0 is self.id. What that actually is the instance ID of the specific object that I'm working with. So one object can have multiple instances of itself on screen. So let's say, for instance, the Vulcan cannon shoots bullets, and that bullet is technically a representation of an object, but there are multiple of those representations on screen. A representation of an object is an instance. So what we're controlling here is an instance. That instance's X position, that instance's Y position. Does it collide with object enemy 1? If it does, then this I'm setting it to a hit. I'm setting it to a variable. This specific variable actually is if there is a collision, it's setting it to this object. From here, I can say, does the response here, is it equal to no one? If it's equal to no one, what that means is that there was no collision. Otherwise, I'm saying, does it not equal no one, and am I allowed to collide with enemy 1 at this current instant? If I have a collision because the hit actually set itself to object enemy 1, then I can start controlling object enemy 1 from this part of the script. So I say, reduce the hit points of enemy 1 by the global hit impact times the weapon impact. I can make the object enemy 1 flash. I can do other certain things right here, like creating specific blood impacts or bullet impacts. I can play a sound, and then I can even do certain things if a specific object collides with that particular enemy. So that is basically the control of one enemy collision, and then I do the same thing throughout. Each one of these represents the control of one collision with any particular object. It could be the Skycurser Katana, it could be the EBP missile, it could be the Griffin Special, it could be the Orb Shot by Gaki. And the other scripts that I have right now with the Vulcan cannon and the shotgun bullets look very similar to this. Eventually I'll add them into here so that they're all flowing through this one script and determining if they're colliding with other instances of objects. What is the way of going about a collision only counting once, even if it's still touching the object? Very good question. I've had to deal with this recently. For example, a bullet goes through an object and does damage, but it takes that damage the whole time the object is being touched by the bullet. Perfect question. I just had to deal with this on the katana. Because basically, with the Vulcan cannon or the shotgun bullet, when the collision occurred, I would be destroying the instance of the bullet. However, with the katana never gets destroyed. It basically stays there. So as it connects with the enemy, it's basically hitting it every step that the collision is actually occurring. It never gets destroyed, so it's hitting it every step. So to answer your question, to Beastly Bro, and I'll answer your question in a second, Insanity Wolfman. To answer your question, you basically set a variable. Let me see if I can find a good example of this. I did this with the EBP missile. Okay, so with the EBP missile, if you're watching my screen here, let me make sure. Los Pancho, what up? If you're watching the EBP missile, you're watching the screen here, and I'm talking about how the katana connects with the EBP missile. I set a variable on the EBP missile itself, and the variable can be any variable that you want. You can also refer to this as a property on the object. And so this object enemy 1 attack has this variable set to it. By default, it's set to false. As soon as the connection occurs, it's set to true. Let me see real quick. I feel like there's one more thing that we need to make sure of. Okay, I misspoke on that in particular, because that is just controlling when the katana impacts the EBP missile, but it's very similar with all the other ways that I have it set up. So specifically, I have this variable called collision on. So collision on is the variable that I'm using to determine whether or not this particular instance can get hit by the weapon that is attacking it. Let me see here. Still looking here. I'm just trying to make sure I explain this correctly. Katana hit counter. Let me look at this. The tank in particular has a katana hit counter on it. It's set to 0. Looking at the step now, the script tank 1 collision occurs there, but we're more concerned about the katana, what happens on the katana collision. So let's go look at the katana weapon. Skycurser katana, step event, script weapon attack. Everything goes through there now, which is perfectly fine. Katana slashing equals true. Katana shows equals false. You see the global katana slashing. So this is a problem that I've solved, and I'm trying to see exactly how I solved it. Most enemies, if they're shot once with the katana or they're shot once with the EBP missile, will die instantly. So I'm having a hard time finding exactly how I solved this. But I know for sure I had to deal with this on the tank. So I'm looking through the tank code here. Understandable insanity, no doubt. Script tank 1 collide. Movement, animation. I'm going to go look through those scripts really quick on the tank. Scripts, enemies, tank 1. Let's look at movement first. Okay, I took everything out of there because I'm controlling it elsewhere. Animation. Okay, collide. Okay, we're only dealing with if it collides with Skycurser. Not a problem. Alright, as I suspected with the tank. Ah, here it is. Okay, so I remember exactly what's happening now. Okay, so the katana actually has two graphics to it, okay? One graphic to the katana is sitting on top of the sprite, the Skycurser sprite. So I think you can see my mouse movement on screen. The katana is sitting right there initially. When the katana actually swipes, I'll show you the code where that gets generated. It's in the step event of Skycurser itself. Remember, we were looking at this a little bit earlier. Close this so we can look at this. We are doing an instance create. So when the katana actually gets activated, remember the controls we were messing with earlier to make the special occur better. We are creating an instance of the Skycurser katana. When the Skycurser katana gets created, it's let me see here. The counter. I'm looking for the counter. Counter. I'm going to close out of here real quick so I can look at the actual connection script. Katana hit counter. So the hit 5 represents the tank. It has the katana hit counter. So tank 1 in the create event has the katana hit counter. And I'm feeling like that is getting reset at some point, and I'm trying to find out where that's getting reset at. It's got to be in the step event, but we just looked through all the step event information here. Let's go look at. I'm incrementing the katana hit counter. And I feel like there's a setting on the object Skycurser. Let's go look at the weapon again. Katana activated, instance create, katana delay, activated, stepper plus plus. That's just controlling the animation. Let me look for that variable counter. do a search on this guy. I don't think I can just, nope, try to open up a window. So I'm going to copy this guy right here, do a search on him, because it's being controlled in a specific place, should be getting reset. Alright, script weapon attack. Okay, so it's in multiple positions, it's in multiple places in script weapon attack. It's also in multiple places on object Skycurser katana. So let's go look at this guy right here. Hit boss 1, katana hit counter. Let's go back. So I'm basically controlling the katana hit on the boss as well, because the same thing was occurring on the boss. Chris, what's up, man? Working on backgrounds for stage 2. Awesome. So if you're in chat and you just saw Skycurser type, that's Chris. He's the art director slash all-around good guy. He just joined chat. Chris, I'll go ahead and hop on Skype. I don't have a lot of time tonight, but let me hop on Skype. Alright. Close this. I want to see where this is getting reset at. Maybe in the destroy event of the katana. There it is. There it is. There it is. Okay. So, to continue answering your question, DeBeastly bro. Hope you're still with me on this because I've had to track this down. I did solve this at one point and knew I did. So it's the perfect time to reset the hit counter on each of the objects, right? The destroy event of the object that gets created temporarily. I would do this a different way if the object never got destroyed, but since it gets destroyed almost immediately, I go ahead and set it up so that it resets the connection with the tank and the boss as soon as it dies. So it dies right now. This particular item gets destroyed when the animation ends. So I've got animation end as an event on the katana. The code is basically instance destroy, and I set global.katana slashing equal to false when the animation has ended. And again, when it gets destroyed, I go ahead and reset the katana hit counter on the tank or the boss to 0. Now this, as I'm thinking through this, this may be a little bit faulty, but I think it's fine because of how quick the slash happens and how frequently you connect with the tank and or tanks that are on screen. So I've explained most of it, and I know it's been a little bit choppy on the question of that, DeBeastly bro, but does that make sense how that works, or is there something else that I need to explain with that? Okay, since I'm not seeing a response, I'm going to keep moving forward. I think we're in a good place with this. I do want to go ahead and test what we have on the connection with an enemy. Let's do this. So I'm compiling, be going in game here in a second. Perfect. Okay, good. Glad that answered your question, DeBeastly. I knew I solved it a while ago, and I wanted to make sure I kind of refresh my memory because I may need to do something similar here with the Griffin special anyway, so it definitely wasn't a waste of time.
Mission 1. Death at dusk. Go!
Wow. So, as I'm playing it here, I feel like it still needs a little bit of work. It's close, it's very close. Just keep messing with it. Not bad. Wow, that blew up. That blew up the tank almost immediately. Alright, let's try this. Thing with this, but we'll see. Okay, I'm gonna hop out of there for now. May have to do a similar thing with this that we did with the katana, because it's just connecting multiple times with every unit. Basically, yeah, it's OP. Basically, what's happening right now is when the collision happens, that collision check is happening every step in this room, and this room has 60 steps per second. It's got a basically 60 plays at 60 frames per second. So that collision check is happening 60 times per second, and that basically means it's doing 60 times 300 damage if it connects with an object for a second. If it connects with an object for less than a second, because either the object got destroyed or whatever it's doing, however many frames per that second that it's connecting, it's doing all that damage. So we definitely don't want it to do that. We only want it to connect once, but I do want to modify one thing, which I felt when I was playing. I want the actual projectile to be a little bit more powerful. So we edited the sprite, we added some height to this, and we have basically the hitbox is the size of the entire image from top to bottom, including white space. I'm going to resize the canvas one more time. I'm not going to keep the aspect ratio. I'm going to maintain the origin, which is actually the center. And I'm going to say we're going to add to this. I do want to go ahead and add, I think, 50 pixels. I'm just going to do this and test this now, because I want it to feel right. It should feel like, even though it's not connecting with everything, that it's taking out almost everything that's near it. So I think we're in a good spot with that. Okay, gonna leave that alone right now. In case you were wondering what the mask looks like, the mask is covering the entire griffin. I could just cover the griffin itself. I could cover an ellipse. I could cover a diamond. I have it covering a rectangle, and it's not automatic. It covers the entire image. So from top to bottom, it's 174 pixels. Yeah, and I think it's going to be right. Yep. Extra hitbox, Chris. Yep. So the only other thing that we have to make sure is right is something I'm not sure I have time for. 9:43. I can start trying to do this, but it may take a minute. Let me just think through this really quickly. I may just go ahead and have this set up just like the katana does. I will make sure this thing can connect. Everything else that it connects with really doesn't matter. The only things that matter that it connects with are probably at least the Necrostar, the tank, or the carrier, as it's also called, and Gaki. Let me see. Can Game Maker handle any resolution of sprites? That's a good question. I'm pretty sure it could. We're playing, since we're building this for the arcade, the resolution on those monitors is 320 by 240. So whenever you see me playing it, my screen actually switches to 320 by 240. So the sprites, if you actually saw what the actual size of them are, would be really small. But on the arcade cabinet monitor, it takes up the entire screen. It's kind of like in one of those old school TVs. It takes up the entire screen and it fills it up perfectly. But I'm pretty sure they could handle pretty decently any resolution of sprites. More importantly, I think the thing that matters is the computer that's playing whatever the game is, because it's basically got to use the resources of the computer to do the rendering of all the sprites and the interaction of all the sprites. Similar when you export it to a different, the way we do it when we export it to our arcade cabinet, it's all based on how good the computer and the arcade cabinet can handle whatever we're building and throwing at it. And I know I've done a lot of reading on Game Maker's documentation. I know they can even do a lot of 3D stuff. They can do physics handling, and so I would kind of like to, our next project or the project after that, I'd kind of like to get into some 3D testing with Game Maker to see really how far we can push it, because I'm pretty sure it can do a lot of that. A lot of it's they have a lot of documentation around methods that support that. Okay, so we're going to set some variables on the tank. We'll call this Griffin hit counter equals 0. And we'll do the same thing on the boss. Griffin hit counter good here. I'm closing out some things that I don't need. Just clean this up a little bit so I can read a little bit quicker, navigate a little quicker. I'm going to do one more thing and add the same thing to the Necro Star. Specifically, I want to do that on Necro Star 1 and 2 because I don't want it to try to connect with both Necro Stars more than once. I don't mind if the katana does, because the katana is a different story, but oh man, please ask more questions. I'm glad to help. After practicing with GML, you said move on to JavaScript. No, I was actually saying it's a little bit opposite of that. If you're familiar with JavaScript, the feel of most of the coding standards are similar with GML. So yeah, you could move on to JavaScript if you want to, but I would stick with GML, especially if you're trying to build video games. Only really move to JavaScript if you're trying to build like web software. You can build games in JavaScript, but I haven't had enough experience trying to do that to be able to speak to building games in JavaScript. I know some people actually use JavaScript. Some people use HTML5 to build games, but I would mostly use JavaScript for web software. Okay. Griffin counter equals 0. Do the same thing with the Necro Star on create. For now, Griffin counter equals 0. Okay, we're in a good spot there. Now the last thing that we're going to do is go back to the Griffin's. Sorry, let me think here. Yeah. Add event on destroy. Control. We will reset if instance exists. Object tank 1. If instance exists. Object boss 1. That's Gaki. Boss 1. If instance exists. Object Necro Star 1. And let me just copy this. And say Necrostar 2. Okay, and then we'll just say object Necrostar 2 dot Griffin counter equals 0. So we're just resetting everything. Beat the clock. That's right. All right, object tank 1. Okay. And we'll go object boss 1 here, object boss 1, and Necrostar 1. Griffin counter on all those is 0. So I think we're in a good spot there. The last thing I have to do is make sure when it connects with each of those that it increments the counter so it cannot reconnect with them. So we're going to go to, where are we? Scripts, Skycurser, specials. Nope. Weapons, weapon attack. Let me see what's in here. Nothing. Let me go back here. I'm thinking for a second. I want to make sure that I don't think I'm using script Griffin attack anywhere. Let me just double check that. I'm using script weapon attack, so I'm fine with that, completely fine with that. I'm going to remove script Griffin attack because I'm not using it at all. I'm passing it through script weapon attack, which is perfectly fine. Additionally, let's go to those places that we know we need to account for. Katana hit counter is 0. I'm going to do an extra check here. If the katana is connecting before I do a katana hit counter check. And that. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to make sure this gets added to the other places I'm checking for a katana hit counter. So we've got that on the carrier. I don't think I've encountered a lot of limitations with GML. Some headaches in general, mainly with controlling file system, but not a ton of limitations yet. I think a lot of really hardcore programmers think that it's making game making way too easy. Hardcore gaming programmers, I think they, from my general take on kind of how a lot of people talk about Game Maker is that it's just making it too easy, but I don't really think it does. I mean, it helps you like jump over a learning curve really quickly if you want to, but I don't use a lot of the built-in things that Game Maker has. I just went straight to the coding, so I don't really feel like I'm cheating all that much, and I actually some of the headaches that I have with it, I'm kind of like don't really like the way they do objects, and it's kind of hard to put scripts into an object. Instead, the script has to be separate from the object, which gets a little bit confusing when you're thinking about objects. So it's the problem is because Game Maker is because Skycurser is our first game and we're using Game Maker to build Skycurser. I haven't had much experience with any other platforms. So I can't talk much to those other platforms as well. So I need to check boss 1. Trying to hurry and do this at the same time. So I think this goes right here. And there should be an extra. Yep, Skycurser Katana. Oh, I guess I was already checking for that. That was Let me just back out the changes that I just added. I was already checking for that right there. I'm just doing a should connect, which makes a lot of sense right there. It would keep me from having to do the same thing up here. Yeah, I know. I mean, what is wrong with that? You know, not a lot, I think. Me being a programmer too, I just want everybody to learn how to code because it's a real skill set that you can take with you. And not saying that other things aren't, but it's definitely like if you learn how to program, you can take that with you. And so I would rather that everybody not just like do it super easy, instead learn how to program, because learning how to get into that programming gives you a lot of fine tuning and control that you don't have out of the box. Um, but yeah, that's just me spitballing. Should connect. Should connect. Let's just call this should connect. Hit 5. Script. Katana hit 5 counter. Should connect hit 5. Should connect hit 5. Good. That won't interfere with the other one by any stretch of the imagination. And then I'll do one more here. And I'll basically do the same exact check, and instead of the katana, I'll do for the object griffin special, and this is griffin counter instead. And I should only say this. Yeah. I'll answer that question in just a second to Beasley. I'm thinking of, instead of running a script every single time I'm doing the check, I will set a variable object used equals nothing to make sure I instantiate it. Object used equals object Skycurser katana. Object enemy 1 attack. Object griffin special. Sorry, I'm working really quick here. And then, what is this one? Orb impact. I got to make sure I name this correctly. Object boss 1 attack orb. Did not mean to click on it. Object boss 1 attack orb. And so now I can say if object used is equal to object Skycurser katana. Anytime that I don't have to rerun a script is going to be a little bit of time saved, a little bit of processing power saved. Object griffin special, and I can say in here if object used is equal to object Skycurser katana. If object used is equal to, it'd probably be better to do an else if here, just so that I'm not running this code every single time. Instead, because there's only going to be one thing that's passing through here, only one of these objects is going to be using the script at whatever instance it's called. So could be, right next to each other in terms of time, but this will either be true, and if it's not, it will run this, but this won't run every time if this is true, so it's best to save a little bit where possible. Else if object Griffin special, and we almost got this. Whoops. I went a little too far with that. Sorry about that. Go back up here, find tank, hit 5. It's not the katana hit counter, it's the Griffin counter. Yeah. And I can do this exact same check now down here with the boss. KJB Goku, thanks for the follow. I appreciate it tremendously. Babe, I've got probably like 3 or 4 minutes. Can I finish? Okay. So this should connect, and here's the katana hit counter. Notice instance exists. I could say object used here. Instead of what I had used is equal to object Skycurser cursor katana, and I can do an else if here. Object used is equal to object Griffin special, and instead of katana hit counter, it's Griffin counter, and should connect. Let me make sure this was right up here on the hit 5 for the should connect hit 5, Griffin counter, hit 5, katana hit counter. I think we're good there. Okay, I want to add these exact same checks. Now, in terms of good programming, whenever you start writing a whole bunch of duplicate code like this, where I'm kind of like duplicating this exact same thing in multiple places, this is a very good instance of when you would want to write a script and just call the script every single time. Unless you can save calling a script and do something like this, where I just, setting an object used, but that is still reduction in code. But calling a script instead of rewriting multiple lines of code is very good. Is a very good practice to get into. Necrostar 1, I guess, yep, I'm connecting with Necrostar 2 right there. Let me see. Since this is not already on Necrostar 1 for the katana, I'm going to leave that alone. I'm going to call this should connect Necro, and we'll call this hit Necrostar 1. We'll say and should connect Necro. We got to make sure it's set first. Should connect Necro equals true, because it should try to connect by default. And then once it is in here, if object used is equal to object Griffin special, then we say hit necro star 1 dot Griffin counter plus equals 1. Did I do plus plus on everything else? Checking. Yeah, plus plus. Let's just do plus plus to keep it consistent. I'm going to copy this, take it down to Necrostar 2. So we are taking Necrostar 2 here. Copy my code here. Again, I will, I'm basically not doing a favor to myself by duplicating this code here. I'm going to have to go back and reduce this code here in the future. But for now, I'm going to get through this for the sake of completing it. And then I will go back through in the future and reduce this so that I'm not rewriting all this code over and over again. Should connect Necro to true, should connect Necro to false, object Griffin special, hit Necrostar 2, good. Should connect Necro 2. Object used, Griffin Special, Necrostar 2, Griffin Counter plus plus. Okay, that'll keep it from being able to connect multiple times with the Necrostar 1, Necrostar 2, the tank, and the boss. So, let's see if we introduced any bugs. 278, position 43. Let's see what we did here. I have an extra parentheses. Save. Get out of that. Try again. Here we go. This will be my last update for the night too, so we'll just check and see what this looks like and make sure it only connects with a tank once and Necrostar once. I won't go all the way to the boss because if it works on the other two, it should work on the boss as well. I will test the boss later, but not right now on stream. It's compiling, waiting for the compile to finish. Here we go.
Mission 1. Death at dusk. Go!
Woo, that was really good. Yeah, that hitbox is taken out exactly what we wanted to do. Yeah, that was really good. Okay. Yep. The other thing that will happen that I haven't done yet is the screen is going to flash white whenever that actually occurs. The second that it comes out, it'll flash white. The screen won't stay white all the time. It'll briefly flash white. Here we go. That's it. Oh, we got a bug. Line 4, Object Griffin Special, Script Weapon Attack is where it was called from. And line 147, I'm going to copy this. Griffin counters greater than 0. Okay, got it. Got it. So the problem that we ran up against with the object used syntax that I just wrote was that the instance doesn't exist yet. So we've also got to do a check when we say object used. And so I'm thinking about just putting it back to what it was, kind of the syntax that it was before, since it has to do that instance exists check anyways. Where were we? Script weapon attack. Going to remove the else if, remove the object used syntax. Not there. There it is. Okay, I'm going to kind of copy this guy. We're looking for tank. We want to make this the katana. Object, Skycurser, katana. Same check for, I'm going to remove the opening parentheses because that's not necessary. Griffin Special is correct. Thanks to Beasley. Talk to you soon, man. I'm about to get off as well. Get off the stream, and here we go. Object Skycurser katana. Almost finished. Thanks, Chris. connect Necro 2. I'm almost done, love. Sorry. Necro Star 2. Necro Star 2. Necro Star 2. Just... I added the Katana check there. I want to make sure this is the Griffin Special check. Object. Object. Griffin Special. Hit boss 1. Needs to exist right here. Should connect. Should connect. It was right. This should also be Griffin Special down here. Well, should be Katana first. Griffin Special. Okay. Script, script, script. Boss 1 attack. Object type. Boss. Necro Star. Necro Star. Ooh. Necro Star 1. Griffin counter. Griffin counter. Necro. Necro. Carrier. Hit 5. Hit 5. Connect 5. Katana special. Katana special. Good, good. And I think that's it. Try this one more time. Shouldn't let any of the PEBs get past, like it should clear any smaller enemies close to its path. Well, to speak to that, Chris, it is taking up 175 out of 240 pixels, so it should be literally hitting everything. As long, I mean, minus the outer edge PEBs. We could make it the full screen, but...
Mission 1.
Gonna go
Death at dusk. Go!
Okay, so looks like I still have another bug. I'm going to have to work this out either off stream or tomorrow or whenever my next stream is. So that's, you know, kind of the nature of what happens when you sometimes just write a lot of code and you're not sending everything through one script. Often you can just introduce unnecessary bugs where if you write the code clean once and send everything through there, you won't have that problem. So I think it's in a pretty good place, though. I'm fairly happy with the way it's working, and it's now attacking and killing anything that it touches. We just need to reduce the amount of connects that it has with tanks, bosses, and Necro Stars, and after that, we will limit the number of uses of the special to 3 until there's another, until there is another continue or the game starts over. So, Chris, thanks a lot, man, for tuning in, and also thanks for the mention on the great work. everyone, thanks for tuning in. Thanks so much for the follow. For those who followed me today. And thanks for your support. If you're tuning in and you're either catching this on YouTube or you're watching this right now, if you like what you see, please go ahead and hit that follow button. Otherwise, check us out on Twitter. We always post there when we're getting ready to go live. And all of our videos, all of our daily series are getting exported over to YouTube. So if you missed something, you can go back and catch up on a particular task that we were working on. Also check us out on Tumblr. The links are below for the places that we'd like to connect with you. If you check us out on Tumblr, you'll get to see artwork and arcade cabinets related to Skycurser, and you'll be able to see things happen there before I often get to them in terms of artwork. So thanks a lot, everyone, for tuning in. If you're not sure when I'm streaming, check out the stream schedule in the information below the channel, below the channel stream. And until next time, I'll talk to you guys soon.